The One Piece is a map. It's a map of the world that was known before the Void Century, of the continent that existed before it was sank into the ocean by Emu during the conflict that ensued during the Void Century. Um, and I really came to realize this during Vegapunk's speech, which, funnily enough, the anime is just starting to hit right now. But yeah, I mean, he reveals that there used to be a continent and that the world lived as one. And then, as it was sank into the ocean, aka chaos, it became fragmented and people's identity became lost. Our unified cultural identity became lost, and we became fragmented and went to war with each other. While the corrupt powers that be that sank the world into the ocean, into chaos in the first place, maintain their power as it has always been. Um, yeah, yeah. Um, Sorry, my dog's barking. It's throwing me off. But um, this all has ties back to like the original myth, like Judaism, and then what eventually became the Old Testament within Christianity. Um, the sea and Leviathan was a sea serpent. And the sea and Leviathan within it as this ancient entity or symbolic of chaos in and of itself is used as a symbolic opposition to the kingdom of God that represented order and justice, and then the ocean and the serpent was chaos that it all was forged from. So Emu is Leviathan, or made a deal with Leviathan, made a deal with the devil, so to speak, in order to destroy the ancient kingdom and submerge a continent into chaos. Um, and these are all these metaphors are being like literally illustrated, which is really cool. The ocean being the symbol of chaos, and then Emu sinking the world into the ocean, sinking the world into chaos. Um, and Yeah, it goes deeper. I mean, when you look into Lilith and why Vegapunk's satellite was named Lilith, with Lilith being somebody that opposed Adam, refused to be obedient to him unconditionally, and then was cast away and cursed to be a wandering demon. Um, and so she's seen as this idea of evil, even though all she did was refuse to submit to authority, which, let's be real, back then that likelihood of someone abusing power is just as equal, if not higher, than today. So, um, it's funny and no coincidence that she would be seen as evil for doing that. And I think that's what Oda's trying to show in a very light-handed way, the way that evil has been misconstrued, impacted by misogyny through in the original myth, um, and that it's greed that's true evil, and not whatever Lilith has been associated with. Um, but anyways, um, so yeah, I think Emu made some kind of deal, but I don't think that Emu caused the creation of Devil Fruits. People are saying that Emu has something to do with it. I think the devil fruits were all happening in the ancient kingdom, and I don't think they were called devil fruits then. I'm guessing they had a different name that didn't have such a horrific connotation. Because it seems to be like if the sea god or the devil, aka, wanted people to consume its fruit, it wouldn't punish them by making them unable to swim. That punishment seems to be coming from the sea god because it's angry that people ate the devil fruit. And if the sea god, or Leviathan, or the devil, was was upset at this, was at war with the ancient kingdom, then that implies that the devil fruits are a product of the ancient kingdom, which we already know. So I know that things are going uh, up and about, and people are trying to speculate on that. But my best guess is that the, the original myth has a tree of life and then the tree of knowledge of good and evil, right? And they ate from, or Eve ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and then God cast them out because it was scared that they were going to then eat life, the tree of life, as well. Um, so I think Oda's doing his own take on this kind of idea. I think the Adam tree is the tree of knowledge. I think it's just knowledge. We can call it knowledge of good and evil, but that has such a polarizing connotation. I think the Adam tree is a tree of knowledge. I think it's symbolized through its robustness and extraordinarily tough wood to symbolize the strength of knowledge. And then the Eve tree being the tree of life, which, as we know, provides the ocean with oxygen and secretes this resin that can float and is bouncy. Outside of the obvious Freudian imagery going on here with these two things, it's also just symbolic of this original myth. Um, so I think the ancient kingdom had a way of harnessing. Harnessing is even kind of like oppressive. I think they understood the nature of, respected, valued, and maybe even almost worshipped these trees. And I think these trees existed and were of access to the whole continent. And these trees kind of were like the trees that show up all around mythology, Yggdrasil, all that jazz. And the tree of life is a constant reoccurrence throughout so many religions. Um, but to put it in this Adam and Eve kind of duality sense, and not only that, to not have it be like, oh, one is good and one is evil, but that they are more so the divine masculine and the divine feminine is really cool to me. So I think this ancient kingdom harnessed and understood the harness. I keep saying harness. They understood and respected the power of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and with that, they created a utopia. And Emu, for one reason or another, felt envious and outcasted by that society and made a deal with the devil or the sea god to tear it all down. And so the devil granted Emu powers to be able to manipulate souls, possess people, teleport people, which, by the way, the pentagram is called the mouth of the Leviathan in the Bible. So it's like, you know, Emu's a Leviathan. So, yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think that's just what happened. And I think Emu got like lucky. It's one of those things where like evil may temporarily prevail, but never eternally. I think Emu caught everyone off guard that they didn't know that such a malevolent force could be contacted and contracted with. Um, and then the power of hell itself came out of nowhere and just blindsided them. Uh, so as we know, the hopes and dreams of humans go into devil fruits, and I think by using the knowledge of the Adam and Eve trees and maybe pollinizing one with the other, that they can create the devil fruits with specific ideation mind, kind of like how praying provides results. It's the same thing. It's like their hopes and dreams, their prayers go into this fruit, and it manifests quite literally as the fruit and gives you the powers that you so hope for. It's all just direct, being literal about all these tropes that show up throughout all types of religions. Um, let's see if I forgot anything. I don't got any type of notes. I'm just winging this. Um, Emu either contacted or is Leviathan. Yeah. Ancient Kingdom, Adam and Eve trees. Yeah. I guess I just want to like distinguish um, what Oda's trying to do, I think he's trying to be based and like remove the misogyny that is pretty obvious in the Christian myth, the OG myth, the Old Testament, what came before it. At first it was Lilith who disobeyed God, and then was seen as evil, even though greed, as we saw with Vegapunk, greed is real evil, and whatever Lilith is, sure as heck isn't evil. But it's seen as evil because Lilith was disobedient, um, and then cast away and seen as a demon. Um, so, this kind of like idea that the feminine falls to evil, that the masculine is what maintains itself and upholds itself, whatever, and then the feminine is what caves to temptation. It's very, it's an eye roll ass idea, and it's much more entertaining and beautiful to consider that there's a divine masculine, divine feminine, equally as powerful in their own right, the yin and yang that complement each other, and then there is some other malevolent force that destroyed both of them. Um, and then, if we want to really go into it, it could be like how it then brainwashed and convinced people that the feminine is evil as the scapegoat. And, it's just another step in maintaining its power as everyone falls to different forms of bigotry. But, um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I haven't really posted a video like this. And like I said, no notes. So sorry if it's scatterbrained and doesn't make sense, but I'm hoping it does, and I'm hoping to make more soon. Kind of diving into more of these connections between myth and the lore of One Piece. But yeah, One Piece is a map.